is awesome, by the way, as well.
Yeah, yeah, she's amazing. I can't exist without her. I don't know how I ever did before.
Well, guys, welcome to What's a 411. It is Monday, March 4th, and of course, we are here with another fabulous guest. I'm super excited, honored, and blessed to have DJ Dramos here with me. Did I say that right?
You did. I was waiting to have to correct you because everybody always says Dramos. They mess it up, so I appreciate you pronouncing it correctly. Thank you, and thank you
Uh,
for having me.
oh, thank you for jumping on. I was just saying how I appreciate the fact that you even responded to my message so timely as well. Quick.
Of course, I always like to show love to anybody who's out there getting it and creating cool opportunities.
Awesome. So give us a little bit of your history. Introduce yourself for all the people. I mean, everybody knows who you are, but let us know, a little bit about the history, where this love for media started.
Yeah, I mean, it started with a love for music, really. I was, hip hop was probably my first love, and then after a failed attempt at being an R&B singer when I was younger, I transitioned into it wasn't much of an attempt, but
It's like,
I
singer.
yeah, no, 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 I it never left like my parents' basement, but I got like the music bug, so I just started like playing drums and playing in bands and things like that. From there, I started DJing and getting to travel, throughout bands and DJing and stuff like that. And then that kind of just naturally transitioned into like podcasting, but this is like early on podcasting. Like nobody was like making money. I think I don't even know who. I think Joe Rogan was around, but during that time. But this is like a while ago. Like podcasting was like a very obscure thing, but I just was fascinated by the ability to like just create something and then there's no rules and you just kind of do your own thing with it. So I would kind of have like little podcasts here and there with some of my DJ buddies, and then yeah, I don't know. It just all naturally, just one thing kept falling into place. I would just be out and about DJing, meeting people, and I met some people who worked in radio, and then from there, like years of having a relationship with them, I got the opportunity to like learn how to run the boards overnight at one of the stations here in New York, and did that for a few years, and then got the opportunity to work with the Breakfast Club, and then did that for I think it was like 4 years or so, and from there got the opportunity to have my own podcast deal, and yeah, from that's just kind of been like sparking all kinds of different things. A TV show at one point, just a lot of different random things that I've been falling and tripping into, I think.
That's real cool.
Yeah.
But talk to us about your experience on the Breakfast Club because that's where most of
Hmm.
us here would know you from. Like we
Sure.
remember you from the Breakfast Club. So talk to us about that.
I mean, what can you really say? It's kind of the greatest gift I've been given in my career, up until getting my own thing. But it was something that manifested for sure. I like was obviously a fan of it like everybody else, and I would see them as I was leaving for my overnight shift. I would see like Charlemagne and Envy coming in, and like, we would like kind of say hi in the hallways and things like that. And I was just like, one day I'm gonna have some sort of a relationship with those guys, and Angela Yee as well. Like I'm gonna, learn from them. And I remember I would always watch like clips from the show while I was like working down the hall, or like watch their interviews and stuff like that. And yeah, I just like said one day for somehow some way I'm gonna like have a relationship with them where I can learn from them, and randomly that led to getting the job, and it was like the best 4 years that I could have ever asked for, of learning from people who are just legendary at what they do, and seeing their process, and I think seeing their authenticity and being unafraid to show up as themselves was like the thing that gave me then the courage to be authentic and begin to use my voice to speak on behalf of my community, and really embrace who I was. So yeah, just in an amazing blessing of an experience I can't really say enough good things about.
Hmm. And then so you decided to step out and do your own thing. Talk to us
Yeah.
about the podcast that you have. You have two of them going on, right?
Yeah, I have two podcasts in partnership with iHeartRadio. One of them, which was the first one I got, is called Life is a Gringo, which is me sort of speaking to the Latin community, but from my perspective of sort of always feeling like I wasn't welcome with open arms because like my Spanish is trash, and like I didn't quite fit in. I always felt like an outsider, and that's sort of the premise of the podcast. And it's a way for me to really shine a light on my community, be a voice for it. And I get to interview like really incredible people from all walks of life to share their stories that are inspiring and hopefully motivating for people. So, and that's also like my own. It's like my personal diary. Honestly, I'd be like going through things in life, and I'll just hop on there and like vent about it and talk to people about it, and that's an amazing thing to have. And then the second podcast I started after that, about I think it was like a year or so after I got the deal, was it's called The Street Stoic, and it's a daily podcast. It's like 15 minutes long, Monday through Friday, and it's just meant to be like a daily shot of inspiration. And with that, I combine hip hop lyrics and quotes with ancient Stoic philosophy, and it's just like this really timeless ancient philosophy on how to live like a more quality life. And the one thing I always noticed about like self-help or just wellness or any of that kind of stuff, like it's very valuable in information, but oftentimes the people, let's be real, they're a bunch of white people who are at the helm of it. They're speaking their language and it doesn't connect oftentimes with people, who come from a similar background to myself. And for me, I just saw so much value and I wanted to be able to bridge the gap between the culture and, all this amazing information. So I kind of just combined my love for, um, you know, wellness and philosophy, and like how can I make it a conversation that makes sense for people, like myself who also love hip hop. And I just use inspiring hip hop quotes to also tell this story and hopefully motivate people every day.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of different quotes that you put out there that are very, very powerful.
Mm.
So where do you draw the inspiration, or like where do you come up with the quotes to use?
So I have like a bunch of like books from like Stoicism. I also follow this amazing author called by the name of Ryan Holiday, who kind of introduced me to this idea of Stoicism, and he has a lot of books on it. So I'll usually pull some of the quotes from him or his website, and then I'll just think about like some of my favorite records and my favorite artists, and figure out quotes that they've had in their music or from interviews that I think correlate to the idea that we're trying to get at. And then from there, I'll give my own sort of interpretation and how I apply it to my own life and how I think others can apply it to theirs, as well. So it's kind of just a mix mash of a bunch of different things that I kind of put together.
Cool, very cool. And of course, we know how important it is representation, So you're out
Hmm.
here doing your thing, representing the Latin community. Talk to us about the importance and what that means to you.
Yeah, I think what people don't sort of realize a lot is really people just need to be able to see that it's possible. And that's what it is when you can see somebody who looks like you or somebody who comes from your background. When you see them doing things that interest you, it also is inspiring and motivating to be like, hey, I could do that as well. And I can say that, like, for me, especially around when Charlemagne dropped his first book, hearing his story, and this dude comes from a dirt road in South Carolina, and turned into this gigantic media mogul. And for me that was inspiring. I mean, I didn't grow up in a dirt road in South Carolina, but I didn't have any connection to media, just like he didn't have any, and somehow some way he made it work, and that was like really inspiring for me to keep going in those times where I doubted myself. So I think that's important. I also think a lot of our history has been lost or is not shared in the way that it should, and it's because we haven't had a seat at the table. So people like myself hopefully can help raise other voices and give them the opportunity to share their stories and also share a bit of our history, so that we can all kind of just see ourselves in this world a bit more, I think.
So
Yeah.
necessary, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Well, you're definitely doing the thing. You're out here doing so much. You not only have, these podcasts that you're sharing and, just you've got a book, you've got a clothing line. Talk to us about all the different avenues where you have your hand in because it's a lot.
Yeah, you're reminding me. I forget about half it. Yeah, I don't know. I just like creating, and it's for me it's just very fulfilling and like therapeutic to just always be doing different things. And obviously, like, you have to prioritize levels of importance and time and dedication and things, but like I've always loved writing since I was a kid. I've always wanted to be an author as well. And I kind of just took it into my own hands and started kind of writing these like a four-part series of books, basically, and combining it with like just photography for when I would travel or be out and about and things that caught my eye. And then, yeah, with the clothing and stuff, it's just another expression of my creativity. I love clothing, and and fashion, and I've always wanted to be able to express myself in that way. So it's just, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like a kid. You know, like when you're a kid and you're just like you're just making up games and stuff like that, like you're playing by yourself, you know? I kind of just feel like that's what I'm doing in life, and it's a blessing that I have the time to do so and resources to do it. So that's kind of something I never want to lose. I just want to keep being like a kid and keep discovering stuff and like, keep having new interests and then exploring them to, whatever makes sense for me.
Mhm. Creativity is so important, but like as you're talking about the importance of being true to yourself and authentic, how does that show up for you? Like, how were you able to dig into your own creativity and actually just be confident enough to put it out there?
I mean, it was a long process, honestly. It was an incredibly long process, and I think that's what held me back for so long was I was scared to really just sort of let it all out and be extremely vulnerable and sort of just own my authenticity. And I think for me, as my dog is paying a little visit here, I think for me, the pandemic was a really big turning point. I was kind of like mentally even prior to that, but definitely once that happened, I was already kind of like feeling like, all right, I need to be doing something else. Like I'm not fulfilled right now. And with the pandemic, I would do these like Instagram lives every day. Like I would leave the Breakfast Club, I'd run to my apartment basically, and I would do this like daily Instagram live talk show, I would call it. And through that, I just started getting more and more comfortable with being vulnerable. And like I realized the more honest I was, the more I gave to myself to people, that were watching and communicating in the chat and things like that. Like the more I got back, the more I felt like I was a part of something. The more people were resonating with what I was saying, and it just kind of like that was like the thing that started, and I just kept that with me. It was like everything I ever wanted began to happen when I allowed myself to just show up authentically and be unafraid to express myself, and not be embarrassed by things, but instead to like embrace them. So, little baby steps like that. And then I think along the way, just training myself to like push past the discomfort and like recognize that, my greatest gift is going to be my authenticity. That's the most original and the best thing I could offer people. So I try to, put that on display and share as much of it as I possibly can.
Mhm. And you definitely are doing that. We see the work that you're putting in, so big up
Thank you.
yourself on that. Yeah,
Thank
man.
you.
And I read a little bit about you being or this concept of a thought leader. So can
Uh-huh.
you kind of define that? Let us know what that means and how you fit into that role.
Yeah, I think yeah, that's my attempt of like just finding an easy term to discuss, to kind of describe all that I do. But I think for me, I think it's just somebody who is, you know, using their voice for good and wanting to be in a position of leadership, and is sort of trying to expose ideas and concepts and conversations to their community, or the people that follow them. And I think that's sort of what I would look at as like a thought leader. It's just somebody who's constantly introducing ideas, constantly having conversations, and forcing us to sort of evaluate our lives in the way that we see it, and push us towards wanting to progress and just be better versions of ourselves and, collectively as human beings, I think.
Hmm. And so would that kind of tie into the concept of like conscious living?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. That's sort of the my philosophy, if you will, is conscious living, and it's really just like the the sort of way that I live life of really trying to um be deliberate with all that I do and recognize that every single thing I do, from, every little way that I spend my time throughout the course of my day, and every interaction I have with people, it all adds up. It all matters. I have to be conscious of everything that I'm doing to the best of my ability, to really get to live the life that I want. And within that, conscious living, there are the four pillars of it, which is awareness, like self-awareness, awareness of the people around you, community, which is, your involvement in something larger than yourself. Then there's also money healing, which a lot of us, particularly from um marginalized communities of color, I know definitely Latin community, like money wasn't something we were all taught about growing up. So there's a lot of fear, a lot of bad habits that hold us back from really living out our best lives. So Money healing is a part of that, and then the last one is long-term vision. It's like living your life with the future you in mind at all times. You know, like when I make a decision, I want to make sure that it's with the knowledge that this is going to affect the future version of myself. So that sort of allows me to live my day a little bit more, again, deliberately, and not, make bad decisions, knowing that I'm living for something bigger than just this present moment, and this present sort of whatever vice it is that might be tempting me in that moment.
Hmm. That's super powerful. You also, I guess, have maybe some services that you offer around helping and assisting people with this type of work.
Mhm. Yeah, it's more of a mastermind and community. So it's really like, a group of us will get together um usually every month, and we'll talk about some of the concepts around the conscious living, and I'll sort of just share with people like what I've been going through, or what I have been thinking about, and that I think might be helpful. And it's more so like just surrounding yourself with people who have a similar mindset, who look like you, come from the same background, who also want a better life for themselves. They're trying to figure it out, and we're all just kind of there supporting one another, bouncing ideas off of each other. And we also do kind of like side coaching with people and things like that. And it's all really just like trying to be that like support system for people, because so many of us don't have that, especially if you're trying to do something outside of the norm. There are, an endless amount of people who will tell you that it's impossible, but there are very few who actually will support your vision. So really it's just a way to bring together like-minded people, people I wish I had around me when I was on my come up, that we can kind of help motivate each other to kind of stay the path and bring out the best version of ourselves.
Yeah, because that's super important is having people around you with the like mindset, but also that
Yep.
are gonna hold you accountable as well.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, accountability is a huge thing. That's sort of the beauty of like, we'll have quote unquote homework, and we'll share with each other like how our experience with that from the last month. And just being able to sort of know that you have other people who are also doing the same things, and like you don't want to be, you don't want to let them down in a way as well, right? Like it's an extra sort of oomph that helps you, I think, keep pushing yourself to not give into some of the negative thoughts or the negative temptations of life.
Yeah, for sure. So like what kind of tips would you have if somebody was out there, really wanting to dive into whether it be music,
Mhm.
podcasting, any type of media or anything at all, really, to get out there to actually take those steps and do the thing and then
Yeah.
staying consistent because consistency is not always easy.
Yeah, consistency is the hardest part. I think you always have to just start before you're ready. I think people get caught up on perfectionism, and that's part of the problem, and myself included at times. It's like it doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be polished. It's not going to be that. That all is going to come with time from you doing it and putting in the reps over time. But the sooner you can develop the habit of doing it and making it a part of your life, the better you're going to get at it, and the easier it's going to become to be consistent at it. And you're gonna make mistakes. You have to make mistakes. That's the only way to learn, really, at the end of the day. You learn from the failures and the setbacks, and that's how you get better, and you're more equipped to handle the next challenge. And it's tough. I think first and foremost, the the thing I would say is you have to also like you have to be goal oriented, but you also can't obsess over the goal. And this is something I did for an incredibly long time, and it made my journey really miserable along the way. Was I was so hyper focused on the end result that I didn't allow myself to really enjoy the process and get lost in it, which I think kind of hurts your creativity a little bit. Like the one thing I always say to people, we have somebody in, or a few people actually from that my mastermind, the Just Be Social Club, who like are starting a podcast or something like that, right? And what I always reiterate to them is, yeah, have the goal of it becoming something bigger, of maybe you can, make money off it, it can become a job, but also understand that if even if it is just something that you enjoy doing and you get to do every single week, you've already won at that point because it's you're giving yourself almost like this therapy, that you're doing every week by doing something that you love, and your life is going to be better just by proxy of you having, even if it's just a hobby that you enjoy doing. That's why people have hobbies, is so they can get away from everyday life and enjoy themselves. And I think that's sort of what a lot of people forget, is like you're getting into it because you love it, hopefully, and appreciate that part of it, and cut yourself some slack, and remember why you're doing it. I think when you're sort of treating it as something you enjoy doing rather than like this burden to get to the next level, it becomes a lot easier to be consistent. Like um my goal this year was to be a lot more consistent on social media because I feel like that's where I've been weak. And it was miserable for the beginning of it because I like had this idea in my mind. I hate social media. I hate doing all this stuff. I hate influencer type stuff. And once I found a way to make creative content that I really enjoyed doing, now it's like, oh, this is a fun thing I get to do, right? And yeah, it's I'm hitting the goal of like trying to get more interactions and reach more people and things like that. But even if it fails and I spent 2 hours making a video that got 4 views, I still got to enjoy the process along the way, and that's made it a lot easier to show up day in and day out and do the work.
Mm, very true. And I mean, you're on social media because I sent you the message and you were there, you replied, you were
Yeah, I
very
try. Thank you. Yeah. I try to I listen. I think, like, for me, I'm not interested in being like a celebrity or anything like that. I do this because I love connecting with people, and I love like interacting with people at the end of the day. Like, I was a kid sitting in his basement, in his parents' basement, just like wishing I had like a group of like-minded individuals, to be able to talk to about the things that I like. And like that's what my social media has become with the people that I interact with, which is awesome. And yeah, I think it's that's a blessing. It's just community at the end of the day. So I try and be as active and respond as much as humanly possible because this is what I'm here for, is to be able to talk to people and meet more like-minded people.
awesome. Well, yes. And so, you know what? I was looking on your page and I seen something about the mind of a young lord.
Yeah.
Talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, so that is my production company, kind of more than a production company, but it's like a house of brands, I would call it, which is all very vague. It really just is like, for me, and I'm still kind of in the early stages of it. I haven't had the time to really dive into it as much as I want to, but it's for me the sort of opportunity to help out other people who are like myself, creatives and things like that. I always want to be able to like throw the ladder back down, so to speak. So my goal, like, as I get more, opportunities to do so, be it, financial means, or be it time wise. And I don't want to just be the guy in front of the camera all the time. I want to be, behind the scenes as well, helping other people bring their vision to life. So Mind of a Young Lord is the goal is to be able to support other creators of color and people who come from our backgrounds, to be able to help them bring their ideas to life as well. And I can use sort of my knowledge and my expertise and experience to help them bring their ideas to life. So that's the ultimate goal with it. Once I feel like I'm a little bit more able to kind of mentally handle some more projects. But yeah, that's kind of in the making, in the working.
Yeah, you definitely have a lot of projects on the go, which is
Yeah.
nice, the mind of a creative. So
Uh-huh.
it's all good. So what are some things that you're working on maybe this year that you want to share with us?
Oh man, I got so many things. It's like I don't even I'm trying to think. I don't like to jinx stuff and tease it before it happens, but I think for me, there's a few things that I definitely want to do. I've been doing, like, speaking events and stuff like that, and I've gotten like hired to either speak on panels or like for corporate companies. But a goal of mine is to really be able to just have my own live event, and probably do it in New York, and you know um bring out a bunch of people who are, who are fans of what I do or support what I do, and get us all in a room together and just have like a night of feeling inspired and catching that energy in person, because I think with podcasting it's amazing, but the one thing I miss as, like, I guess, a musician performer is the sort of feedback you get from having a crowd in front of you, that instant connection where it's like I'm talking to myself in a room by myself podcasting, and then like after the fact I might get some feedback via social media or whatever, but it's not the same as that instant sort of live event feeling. And I would love to be able to do that and sort of change what people think of when they think of like motivational speaking or whatever, quote unquote. So that's a goal. I definitely, I just wrapped up. I'm wrapping up the fourth book in my series. I'd love to do like a full on like published book, like long form book that I've already kind of started that. So that's a goal, is to be able to kind of finish that process up hopefully this year. And man, I'm like hesitant to I mean whatever, I don't fucking care.
No
It's
pressure.
I've been
No pressure.
no, because I'm like so I had been in talks for bringing a TV show based upon my podcast Life as a Gringo into the world. And then unfortunately through like the writer's strike that happened and everything kind of getting shaken up, we unfortunately lost that deal. So um I'm kind of like just more motivated now than ever to like bring it back from the dead. So I've been just like rewriting it, and it's a goal of mine to like bring that to life because I just think it's really important to have that sort of representation as we talked about. So I'm putting that out there. That's definitely something I intend to bring back from the dead this year, and I just think there's I think a lot of people could benefit from it, and it's like unfinished business for me. So that's probably the other one.
That's awesome. That's super
Yeah.
cool. So we definitely will be looking out for that for sure.
Yes, please. Thank you.
We'll be looking out for that. Um, but of course, we'd love to stay in touch with you. And again, I appreciate you coming on the show, to share all of your inspiring, your tips, your just about your journey. It's
Mm,
definitely been awesome chatting.
thank you.
Where are we able to connect or stay connected with you?
I usually I think it's at DJ Dramos on pretty much everything. I think I'm most active on Instagram. So that's where I usually am like fielding DMs, and you can really like get in contact with me. And yeah, I'd say that's the home, and then from there there's like a link to everything else that I do in there. I would say go to the Instagram at DJ Dramos, or you can search for Life as a Gringo or the Street Stoic wherever you find podcasts. But those are the main things.
And then we're able to connect and get your clothing line because you got a whole bunch, right?
Yeah, I got the links to all that in my bio. At justb.nyc is that the clothing line, and it's also the mastermind. We're opening up like a new group in April, so that'd be cool. Where more people can join it. We're figuring out how to like build that community of like-minded individuals. So that April we're gonna be kind of relaunching everything to be hopefully opening up to more people. So yeah, you can be on the lookout for that as well.
Okay. And so is that mastermind something that anybody can join, like globally?
Yeah. So it was originally just like a private sort of like DM me if you're interested type of thing, and we'll put you in a private Zoom. Now we're gonna do it, I think, through Patreon, and you can then have access to like all the information on it. We're gonna do like live streams and stuff like that to interact with people. We'll have different like ways for you to communicate with other people who are within the community as well. So like if you are a creative, you might be able to find people to collaborate through that way, or just keep each other motivated and inspired. And there'll be a bunch of different things, maybe like private podcasts for you to check out, and different like videos. And I'll probably share a lot more behind the scenes stuff, and just like different things that I think could be helpful for people along their journey, and just to kind of feel connected, and know that you're not alone on this, to make you feel like you really are a part of something that keeps pushing you to be better. So yeah, it'll be open to anybody all over the world. It's gonna be a lot more of a streamlined process, so I'm excited for it.
Wow. I've heard a lot of good things about masterminds. What are like some things that maybe you've learned about yourself or about different people, about maybe the industry in general?
I think for me, the beauty of it is it's a reminder that every single person has something that you can learn from, and that I love so much. I mean, because people will sign up for it, because of they're familiar with my work, or my partner in this, Brenda, who's also a life coach, and people wanting to work with her. But like her and I'll talk about stuff on there and give people stuff, but like there's also times where I'm getting game from the people that are in there. It's like incredibly rewarding to like it's just this back and forth that's happening, and I think it speaks to the fact that we all have something valuable to offer. We just have to be willing to listen to people and sort of let our egos down and not feel like we have to be in this just because it's like my thing I have to be in this power position. It's like it's a beautiful thing to kind of just be able to sit back and be inspired by other people. And I think the cool thing about it is there'll be times where I'm like burnt out. I might be tired from like just a crazy week, and I'm kind of just like, all right, well, I gotta, I made this commitment. But like once I'm in it and when it's over, I'm so energized. Like I feel like I just sat through therapy or something like that. Like, and that's the power of just being around other people who are like who get it and they're wanting to be better as well, and that's like the I think the beauty of the mastermind is just like it's something that just keeps re-energizing like when your cup is sort of like emptying out a little bit, you meet up with these people and it just fills it back up and kind of keeps you going for the next few weeks to the next one.
Shout out to Brenda. She's
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, she's the real hero behind the scenes over here.
all right. Well, of course, before I let you go, I want to ask if you have like a quote or something that you kind of go by on a daily basis that kind of keeps you going.
Yeah, I think the one that always kind of comes to mind for me is authenticity is your superpower. That's the thing I always sort of run with. It's the idea that me just being me and doing things the way that I see them, like the way that makes sense to me, that's always going to give me my greatest competitive advantage for success, but it's also going to lead me towards my greatest happiness and fulfillment. And I don't have to do anything else or show up as anyone else other than myself. Like everything I want in this life is going to be the result of me just showing up as me, and like that's it. I don't need to be putting on a show or performing or anything like that. As long as I'm staying true to myself, I know life is going to reward me in some sort of way.
These are the facts. These are all right. Well, thank you so much again. I appreciate you joining me. It was a
Of
pleasure.
course.
And we definitely have to keep in touch. I got to look out for that mastermind and see maybe if I could, step in.
Yes. Yes, please. We would love to have you.
All right. Well, you guys heard it right here, okay, on What's the 411 with the awesome DJ Dramos. I said it correctly. All
Hmm.
right, you guys definitely want to check him out on Instagram, okay, at DJ Dramos, and on all different social media platforms as well. Check out his clothing line, check out his book. Check out all the great things that he's doing, the podcast, the mastermind. He's got so much things going on. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Of course, make sure that you guys are joining me on Saturday for a seat at our table. That event is coming up. It's going to be fabulous. Tickets are almost sold out, so make sure you guys grab yours while they are still available. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining What's the 411, where everybody's story matters. I will see you next week, same time, same place.